Okay, now in this video we're going to talk about the Combat Mission new DLC that was released. By the way, at the time that this video is going to be released as well, you can go to Steam and buy it right now. It is now the autumn sale for Steam, and I have checked, and sadly it is not on sale because it is a new release eventually. Now, what I wanted to talk about here is the British the British DLC for it is the British and Canadian DLC. Let me show you here because I'm checking here Cold War in the Steam page. Okay, so it is listed as Combat Mission Cold War British Army of the Rhine. That is for Cold War title, and it is $34.99 USD. So we have here this amazing new DLC. The interview was made to Stephen Gramont, and he is the co-founder of Battlefront, by the way. He was interviewed by Matrix Games in the 25th anniversary dev interview, and he talked about a little bit combat missions. I haven't released any video about combat missions so far on the channel, but I am a really, really avid fan of combat mission. I have all the titles and the DLCs for basically all the modern games because I have noticed like a couple of days ago that they have released the old school combat mission on Steam, and that is a gem. This news about this release, for me, it is amazing because this means that we can enjoy this old school combat mission. So this is another thing that I wanted to add about this situation, but let's talk about the combat mission and how this DLC is adding, especially because of the fact that Battlefront is now fusioned with Slithering. So the whole thing about combat mission is that they would like to create a more realistic war game in comparison with the war games that are using mostly tabletop mechanics, going in either hexes, areas, or stuff like that. But they wanted to go one step ahead. In the physics engine that they created in Battlefront, they focused on the fact that instead of having roles dictating the actual result of the battle, the actual physics of the engine would dictate that, and armor penetration is a core part of their engine, and they would have this amazing realism, and this is what makes combat mission so special. And for starters and for beginners that never saw before something about such as a combat mission, and they would see the graphics and they would say, what type of graphics are that? Because it's not triple A graphics. That's what I'm trying to say. And people would shy away because of that. But don't be fooled about the graphics because this thing is another work of passion, another work of art. This is beautiful. This is an amazing warfare simulator. So we have here that the physics are the standpoint. The armor penetration that is present on their games is so beautiful and so very well done that once you try it, every other war game that you try is going to look like toy soldiers, basically. They have the so-called TAC AI. Okay, they have the TAC AI, which is centered on the behavior of the AI. This is basically an effort to reduce micromanagement. So you cannot be in all the places on the battlefield. So you are going to send the order to the troops, and you will expect that they will do the tactics as they know how to do it, depending on their own training. And this is where the TAC AI comes into play. And this is what makes this beautiful. But there's another thing that makes Combat Mission beautiful, and that is the WIGO system, which is the system of turns. So you're going to have 1 minute of action, and then it is going to pause. You're going to see how the TAC AI develops your orders for 1 single minute, and then the action is going to be paused, and then you can continue. Obviously, you can do it, you can set the option for real time, but that is a little bit difficult. The whole thing here is the WIGO and the TAC AI. So what they did a lot of research about human behavior, especially in the battlefield, and they developed all of this beautiful franchise called Combat Mission. The full acquisition of Battlefront from Slithering, it's something good eventually, because you know that Battlefront, the studio that develops Combat Mission, was always working in conjunction with Slithering in the majority of the cases. So what he is saying, and he's explaining in his interview, is that what they did basically is to absorb the department of Combat Mission, I mean the department that develops Combat Mission, and it has become a new division inside Slithering. This means that they still work with their own agenda, with their own games inside the franchise, and they will continue to do so. What is this? I see a bright future here. I see a bright future, and I see a good decision. I see something that is going to work very well for us, the consumers, and is going to make the things better. It's a win-win situation, I think. Continuing here on this topic about the new DLC, we have that Cold War is the new installment of the franchise. They have made a lot of different periods, modern and World War II as well, but Cold War is the newest one. And they just released the new edition of in this DLC, the new edition of the British Army into the big cake. British Army and Canadian forces. This is huge and this is amazing. They also made, for this DLC, they moved the time frame to 1977, so they move it slightly backwards, and they have put a lot of interest in great detail in the order of battle of the Canadian and British forces, as always, because they are very good at this, and they included the Soviet airborne forces. They say that this will add a lot of exciting new stuff to play with. So they are giving us a lot of new toys to play with. What do you have in this new DLC? You have 3 new campaigns, which are the British campaign, the Canadian, and the Soviet campaign. All of these campaigns on their own perspectives with each faction, and 12 standalone scenarios. Amazing news here. So enjoy the DLC trailer if you haven't seen it, and just buy it. stay tuned and see you in the next video, in which we're going to talk about an interesting game that has caught my attention, and it is on Spain.